The Stardrift shuddered under the pirate's initial barrage, throwing Kaya against her console. She tasted blood where her teeth cut her lip, but her hands never left the weapon's controls. "Hold her steady," she called to Jackson, watching the targeting computer lock onto the lead ship. "I'm trying." Jackson wrestled with the controls as another blast rocked them. "They've got better shielding than I expected." Through the viewscreen, Kaya could see the pirates' ships clearly now, modified corvettes with reinforced hulls and oversized weapons arrays. The lead vessel's hull bore a symbol she recognized, the mark of the Scavaran Collective, the same bastards who'd raided her colony. "Jackson," she said softly, her voice going deadly calm, "these are the ones who took me originally." He glanced at her, saw the change in her demeanor, and nodded grimly. "Then we make them pay." Their communication system crackled to life. "Unknown vessel, surrender the Valshan and we'll let you live," a gravelly voice demanded. "Resist and we'll salvage what's left of your ship and you." Jackson reached for the comm, but Kaya was faster. "This is Kaya of the Valshan Rim Colonies," she announced, her voice carrying the steel that had kept her alive in captivity. "I was taken from my home, sold like chattel and marked for disposal, but I'm free now and I have someone worth fighting for. So here's my counteroffer. Turn around and jump out of this system, or learn why no prison could hold me for long." The silence that followed was telling. "That's my girl," Jackson murmured, executing a tight spiral that brought them behind the rear pirate ship. Kaya's fingers danced over the weapon's console. "Lock on ventral shields. There." Their first torpedo struck true, sending the pirate vessel spinning. "That's for Myra, who died protecting me in the slave pens." "Incoming," Jackson yelled, throwing them into a dive that made Kaya's stomach drop. Plasma fire scorched past the viewscreen. "Their left flank is exposed," Kaya calculated quickly. "If we can." The ship lurched violently as something exploded in the engine compartment. Sparks flew from multiple consoles, and the lights flickered ominously. "Structural damage to the port side," the computer announced in its maddeningly calm voice. Jackson's face was grim. "We're not going to outrun them much longer." Kaya made a decision. Standing from her station, she began stripping off her clothes. "Kaya, what the hell?" "Trust me." She was down to just her undergarments, her skin now rippling with patterns that looked almost like armor. "My people have other abilities, ones they never put in the slave catalogs." "Kaya, I need you to open the airlock." "What?" "Jackson." She turned to him, placing a hand on his cheek. Her skin was cycling through colors rapidly, deep purples and reds that meant determination and love intertwined with something more primal. "Trust me, please." Their eyes held for a long moment, then Jackson nodded. "Don't you dare die on me." "Never," she kissed him fiercely. "I love you too much for that." 30 seconds later, Jackson watched in horror as Kaya, protected only by an emergency force field and her own alien physiology, launched herself into space. For a moment, she seemed impossibly fragile against the void, then her skin began to change. Scales erupted along her arms and legs, and when she opened her mouth to scream, no sound in the vacuum but the vibration visible. Her teeth were suddenly sharp and gleaming. Her skin turned deep black with silver veins, and when she moved, it was with the fluid grace of a predator in water rather than space. Kaya had never told him. Valshans were shapeshifters, their bodies able to adapt to extreme environments when necessary. It was an ability they guarded jealously, one reason other species sought to enslave them. She arrowed toward the lead pirate ship, moving faster than should have been possible. The pirates, caught completely off guard, focused all their fire on the Stardrift while death approached from an impossible angle. Kaya smashed through their viewscreen in an explosion of crystallizing atmo. Through the ship's remaining cameras, Jackson caught glimpses of chaos, flashes of movement too fast to follow, screams he couldn't hear, the distinctive whine of weapons fire inside the ship. 2 minutes later, the lead pirate vessel went dark. Kaya emerged from its hull, her transformed state even more terrifying in the starlight, and launched toward the second ship. This time, the pirates were ready, but it didn't matter. She was a force of nature, all the rage and pain of her captivity given form and purpose. When she returned to the Stardrift 20 minutes later, the 3 pirate ships were dead in space, their crews either unconscious or fled in escape pods. She cycled through the airlock in her normal form, naked and exhausted but victorious. Jackson wrapped her in blankets, in his arms, in whispered words of awe and love. "How long have you been hiding this?" he asked, smoothing her hair as she trembled with exhaustion. "We all hide what others might use against us," she murmured, her skin rippling with faint aftershocks of her transformation. "I never thought I'd trust anyone enough to show them. And now—" She looked up at him, her familiar violet eyes tired but content. "Now I trust you with everything, my past, my nature, my heart, all of it." They made love then, slowly and tenderly, as the wrecked pirate ships drifted in space around them. It was celebration and relief, gratitude and possession all at once. Jackson worshipped every inch of her skin, pressing kisses to the places where scales had emerged, murmuring words of wonder and devotion. When Kaya took control, riding him with a ferocity that left them both panting, her skin cycled through every color in the Valshan spectrum, a light show of emotion that ended with deep gold as they crested together. Later, as they lay tangled in sweat-soaked sheets, Jackson traced idle patterns on her back. "The Scavaran Collective will send more," Kaya said quietly. "They don't forgive, and now they know what I can do." "Let them come," Jackson's arms tightened around her. "We'll face them together." "Promise." "Promise," he tilted her chin up to meet his eyes. "You and me against the universe, remember." Kaya smiled, a real smile that lit up her whole face. "I like those odds." As they drifted off to sleep, the Stardrift continued on its journey, the wreckage of their enemies fatting behind them like a bad dream. Whatever came next, they would face it together. 3 months after the pirate attack, the Stardrift found itself in orbit around a small, uninhabited moon in a system so far off the major trade routes that most star charts didn't even list it. Jackson had been working on repairs to the ship's more esoteric systems, while Kaya had spent the morning in the observation lounge, her skin shifting through contemplative blues and greens as she watched the planet turn below them. "You're thinking too hard," Jackson observed, joining her with 2 cups of coffee. "Just thinking about home," Kaya replied, accepting her mug with a smile. "Or the idea of it. Missing your colony." "No," she took a sip, her eyes never leaving the view. "That home is gone. I'm thinking about this one." She gestured to the space between them. "Us, the ship, this life we're building." Jackson set down his coffee and pulled her into his arms. "And what conclusions have you reached?" "That I've never been happier." Her skin bloomed with warm pinks and golds. "Jackson, I want to tell you something." The seriousness in her tone made him straighten slightly. "What is it?" "Among my people, when 2 individuals choose to bond, truly bond, there's a ritual, a sharing of essence that marks them as lifelong partners." She paused, her skin cycling through complicated patterns. "I've never wanted to perform it with anyone before." Jackson's heart began to race, and now I can't imagine spending another day without knowing you're mine just as I'm yours." She met his eyes directly. "It's not a human marriage, but it's the closest thing my culture has, and I was wondering if you—" He kissed her before she could finish, deep and thorough and full of promises. "Yes," he murmured against her lips. "1,000 times yes." "You don't even know what it involves." Kaya laughed, but there were tears in her eyes. "Don't care, you could tell me it involves ritual sacrifice and I'd still say yes." Jackson wiped away her tears with his thumbs. "I love you, Kaya. I've loved you since that first day. Spending forever with you isn't a question, it's a privilege." The bonding ritual, as it turned out, was both simpler and more profound than either of them expected. At moonrise, a term they used despite being in space, they met in the observation lounge, both dressed in simple white garments Kaya had found in the ship's stores. "In the dark between stars, 2 lights find each other," Kaya began in her native language, then translated for Jackson. "We who were lost are now found. We who were alone are now together." She took his hands, her skin beginning to glow faintly. "I offer you my past with all its pain and joy. I offer you my present with all its hopes and dreams. I offer you my future, whatever it may hold." Jackson, who had memorized the response she'd taught him, replied in accented but heartfelt Valshan. "I accept all you offer and return it threefold. Your pain is mine to help bear. Your joy is mine to share. Your future is mine to help build." The ritual called for a physical joining then, not just the melding of bodies they'd shared many times before, but something deeper. As they came together on the soft cushions Kaya had arranged, her skin began to pulse with light, and where they touched, Jackson felt a tingling warmth spread through his entire body. Their lovemaking was unhurried, reverent. Each kiss, each caress was a promise and a celebration. When Kaya guided him inside her, the connection was electric in a way that transcended the physical. Jackson felt her emotions washing over him, the lingering echoes of old pain, the bright burst of joy at their connection, the steady pulse of love that had grown to encompass her entire being. "I feel you," he gasped, overwhelmed. "That's the point," Kaya managed, her skin now a constant shifting aurora of colors. "Now you'll always be part of me." As they moved together, the boundaries between them began to blur. Jackson found himself seeing through Kaya's eyes even as she looked through his. The sensation was dizzying, beautiful, terrifying in its intensity. When they crested, it was as one being with two hearts, their combined pleasure echoing between them in an endless loop until they collapsed, panting and changed forever. Later, as they lay tangled together, Jackson noticed his skin had taken on a faint, iridescent sheen. "Is that permanent?" he asked, examining his arm with wonder. "Side effect of bonding with a Valshan," Kaya murmured, tracing the new shimmer. "You'll always carry a piece of me now, just as I carry a piece of you." She placed his hand over her heart, where a small area of her skin pulsed with a distinctly human warmth. "See." "Incredible." Jackson pulled her closer, marveling at how even now, after everything they'd shared, he could still discover new facets of this woman he loved. "Any other surprises I should know about?" Kaya's smile turned mischievous. "Oh, just one." "What's that?" Bonded Valshan pairs can sense each other across vast distances, so if you ever try to sneak off on some dangerous solo mission. "I'll know," Jackson finished, grinning. "Good thing I have no intention of going anywhere without you." "Good," Kaya settled more firmly against him, "because I'm not letting you go, ever." They lay in comfortable silence for a while, watching the stars through the view screen. Finally, Jackson spoke. "So, co-pilot and life partner, what's our next destination?" Kaya considered this, her skin rippling through thoughtful colors. "I heard rumors about a planet on the edge of the Andromeda Relay. Beautiful beaches, zero extradition treaties, and no slave markets within 100 light years." "Sounds perfect." "Plus," Kaya added with a wicked grin, "they have these fruit that's supposed to be an aphrodisiac." "As if we need that." But Jackson was already reaching for the navigation console. "But I'm willing to investigate for science." "For science," Kaya agreed solemnly, then spoiled it by laughing. As the Stardrift turned toward its new heading, neither of them noticed the small change to the ship's registry information. Where once it had listed one owner, it now showed two, names linked together with the traditional Valshan symbol for eternal bonding. A year later, other travelers would speak in hushed tones about the human and the shapeshifter who rescued slaves and fought pirates, their ship a safe haven for the lost and the broken. Some called them legends, some called them heroes. Jackson and Kaya, curled together in their shared bed as stars streaked past their view screen, simply called each other home. "I love you," Jackson whispered into her hair as she dozed against his chest, her skin cycling through the soft, nighttime colors of contentment. "I love you too," Kaya murmured back, already half asleep. "Forever and always, my star captain. Forever and always, my shape-shifting warrior." And in the vast darkness between stars, two hearts beat as one, their light a beacon for all who had ever been lost and dreamed of being found. The end.